As we begin this conversation, I'd like to take the time to acknowledge that we here at the Regina Folk Festival are on Treaty 4 lands, home to the Anishinaabe, Nehewak, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota peoples, as well as the homeland of the Métis Michif Nation. TEKE are our guests today, zooming in live from Tiohtià:ke, Montreal, on the traditional territory of Kanien'kehá:ka, a place which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange among many First Nations, including the Kanien'kehá:ka of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, Huron, Wendat, Abenaki, and Anishinaabe. We respect and honor the treaties that were made on all territories and acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past. And we are committed to move forward in partnership with Indigenous nations in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. We urge everyone listening today to support the survivors of residential schools and their families, or to access support by visiting the Indian Residential School Survivor Society website at irSSS.ca, or by connecting with a friendship center in your community. So thanks to everyone for joining us. My name is Amber Goodwin. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the artistic director here at the Regina Folk Festival. It is our immense pleasure and honor to be presenting TEKE in January for our Winterruption Festival. And let me tell you a little bit about our guests. TEKE describes themselves as a unique beast, a 7-piece band featuring traditional Japanese instruments, flute, trombone, alongside raging guitars and a pulsing rhythm section to create a sound reminiscent of the 60s and 70s psychedelic Japanese soundtracks with a frenetic modern twist. In the past year, they've received several accolades and honors, including extensive media coverage and publications as wide-ranging as The New Yorker, Spin Magazine, Exclaim Magazine, and Bandcamp Daily. They recently made the 2021 Polaris Music Prize longlist, an award that honors and celebrates and rewards creativity and diversity in Canadian recorded music. And they've played many incredible venues and festivals, including South by Southwest, Pop Montreal, and many others, too numerous to name here. They just announced a North American tour, which will take them to Los Angeles, Texas, and of course, Saskatchewan. And without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Serge, Maya, Hidetaka, Mishka, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And I understand that you're also going to France soon, so that's super cool. When are you leaving to go to France?
Yeah, we're leaving next Tuesday evening.
Okay.
So on the 2nd and on the 4th. One of them is actually, we're going to the Transmusicale. It's a big showcase, kind of like a South by South in Rennes in France, and then we have a show in jail, in prison, on the 2nd. Yeah.
That's...
So, this is a show that the festival offered us. They do that every year. I've never done it before. I don't think anybody in the band has ever played in a prison.
No.
So we look forward to that experience.
Yeah, like when you come to Regina, I can't wait to ask you some questions about that. And it's amazing access for the prisoners there to be able to check out some good music. So it's really cool that that festival has coordinated that. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. So I recently watched a super fun video called A Brief Story of the Origin of TEKE. It's filled with fun drawings and photo collages and uses title cards and musical clips to kind of give a chronological history of your band. I was wondering if one of you might be able to share the band's origin story for us, people who are just getting to know you.
Yeah, of course. It might take up the whole hour.
I've got lots of questions, so let's do a condensed history, but it's a cool history.
I can maybe start it and then Hide can at some point take over. But basically, where should I start? 2017, we played our first show. It was a tribute to Terao Takeshi, who's a Japanese guitar legend who we're all big fans of. And it was at a psychedelic music festival here that we have in Montreal called Fest. And so basically at that time we were a 6-piece band. Maya wasn't with us yet, so it was fully instrumental, fully the music of Terauchi Takeshi, except for one composition that we squeezed in there that we don't play anymore. So that was the first show, but the way we met, I mean, it goes back some years before that, maybe 2015, 16. I was touring with Gat. He's do you know Bugat by any chance?
Yeah, he's a rapper, right?
A rapper, singer, songwriter, producer. So I was on tour with him. Well, I joined him because we had done some collaborations before with different projects, and then he asked me to join in as artist on his tour. And so when I joined in, his drummer was TEKE, his drummer, and the trombone player was Etienne, our trombone player. So that's how I met those guys. And then we were on the West Coast, like playing San Francisco, LA, and everything. And we said Amoeba in LA, and we grabbed a record, well, a CD from Terauchi Takeshi, like a compilation. And we just listened to a lot of his music in the van and got really excited about it. And we thought it'd be nice to do to play his music basically. And so it really started with those guys, Jan, Etienne, and I. And then we came back here, Montreal, and then well, before that, already when we were sound checking for Bugat, we were like playing some of Terauchi's music and incorporating the trombone. There really isn't any trombone in his music, so that was interesting. And then from there, I think I just ran into Mishka. Mishka I knew from other projects, and we played together with Artesian. Mishka has a jam space just next to ours. So, anyways, remember that day very well, Mishka.
Me too.
Just
Yeah.
like I have the image in my head. It was pretty simple, you know. It's just I think I sent you like a bunch of music from Terauchi Takeshi, and you said, "Well, this is my kind of stuff. I want to play that music."
Mm-hmm.
And then this is when it gets interesting because I know this is all super like exciting stuff. But at the time, I knew Yuki. Yuki is our flautist. We did some stuff. We collaborated on a film score. And then also the Japanese community in Montreal is pretty tight and small, so everybody kind of knows each other. I basically approached Yuki and then Hide and Mishka, and every time, well, maybe I'm for Mishka, but for Hide and Yuki, I remember telling them, well, I have two projects I want to put together. One is a tribute to Takeshi, and the other project is like a completely experimental noise band. And then, but more on that later. So we had an opportunity to close that psychedelic music festival fest. So I practiced an awful lot to get his music down because it was really like new. He's using a very hardcore technique on the trem bar on the guitar, amongst other things. But it was quite a challenge to learn the music. But I did, and we played the show, and then it went super well. It was amazing. Like I said, at the time Maya wasn't there. She was there, but she wasn't on stage. She was in the audience dancing.
Yeah. I was so surprised to hear this kind of music in Montreal at the time. I go, what? I was so excited, and I knew Yuki Hide, and so like before the preparing, I was like, I should wear this kind of clothes, and then I realized, oh, and
Yeah, and then, well, yeah, basically from that show, it was very clear to us that we wanted to do more of that. So we organized the second show as part of Pop Montreal, but then we took it further. Like it wasn't just a tribute, actually, but more of a tribute to the whole era, like, you know, late 60s, 70s, psychedelic rock from Japan. And that's when we started flirting with the idea of writing our own music too. And that's when it got really, really more exciting to us. It made more sense to continue as like a legit band and write our own stuff. And that's when I go back to the parts of the experimental noise, because you know, moving away from Terauchi's music, I wanted to go closer to the more experimental, and like to us, well, like Hide says all the time, like even when we were playing his, we were, you know, it had a bit of a twist on it. We were playing the songs in a more modern way, I guess, or like it was a bit heavier, or like you know, a bigger sound and everything, of course, because we didn't want to just play sound like the 60s. We didn't want to create that. We wanted to play his music today. So so yeah, basically those two projects that I approached Hide and Yuki, you know, with, it basically merged and became TEKE. That's what I wanted to say.
Good job. Good job, man. Good memory.
Yeah.
That's
That's basically the story of TEKE. And it's longer than that video, right? That's why we made that little animation video to kind of like compress everything. But there's lots of details in there. That's why I wanted to take the time to explain all of that, because yes, it started from a tribute, but it really, that was just a starting point, and then it quickly became something else. And recording the EP was one thing, and then recording She to She was another thing. And to us, She to She is more like a you know, statement. It's who we are, or like it's who we were 2.5 years ago, and we're always kind of moving ahead. It's always good to look ahead and move.
For sure. I appreciated both tellings. I appreciated the video, but I also appreciated hearing it from you. So that was great. There's folks here, I'm sure, who are listening who are not familiar with Terauchi, and like, I'm sorry for my pronunciation, but would you maybe could somebody quickly describe what his music is like and why he is worthy of a tribute band, or at that time that you wanted to do that? I can
go ahead. Maybe I think Hide wants to add something. But for me, of course, as a guitarist, I don't know if I can say that in that way, because I don't really consider myself like I do play the guitar, but I'm not like a guitar head, a gear head, the kind of like, I'm just interested in everything, in ideas. But when I heard his playing, I think maybe it was the first time, like, I'm not like, oh, Hendrix is my guy, or like, you know, Van Halen. Wow. I guess maybe Terauchi is my Van Halen in a way. Like, he's the first guitarist that I went like, you know, specifically like a guitarist that I would be like, wow. I usually do this with drummers or bass players or anything but guitar. You know, it's a little weird, but that's what it is. But when I heard his music, and I heard a lot of the music from that same era, you know, growing up, and my parents had the music, but Terauchi's music really there. So when I first heard it, I was really blown away. And well, Hide-san, did you want to
Yeah, historically, Terauchi Takeshi was had the same sensation on Japanese young people as Serge had recently. He revolutionary. It was a revolution to hear that kind of music in Japan. Before, the music was for young people was rockabilly. They were dancing, just dancing, but by introducing their music, young people in Japan started to buy some guitars and to play, to make a lot of bands, and there were a lot of bands at that era because of him and all the followers of Terauchi. So he it was a big revolution in Japan, and also the Japanese instrument, like a guitar industry, had begun at that era because people were buying at that time from the United States the guitars, but they had to make a lot of guitars, electric guitars in Japan. So he influenced a lot of things in Japan, changed a lot, and he's like the reference of the guitar hero at that time.
Yeah, and to answer your question about his sound, yeah, like he did mention, it came from more like rockabilly, but then there was a wave of bands that they called the group sound. There was a scene there, like in early 60s, and then the electric guitar boom that we're talking about in Japan is called eleki.
Mm.
So it was like basically it means electric, and that's when the kids they all wanted to play guitars and
yeah. And some soft music, yeah, some soft music, and a lot of influence by the Ventures that brought that kind of music.
Yeah, when the Ventures played Japan for the first time, it changed everything there, and then everybody wanted to grab a guitar, and Terauchi was kind of like in the front of that whole scene, and rightly so amazing. Also, he was kind of like he was a master of karate, and he no, super badass, and he would build his own reverb effects and things like that. Like he was really and in his music you can really hear the intensity. Like he seemed like a very intense.
Yeah. And recently I learned that his mother was a master of shamisen, the Japanese like a 3-chord guitar, and that was also an add on the electrical guitar style that he's playing. So it's quite unique in the world, the way he's playing.
That's part of it. It's the way he would play the guitar was really like this is very influenced by how you would play on a shamisen, which is a 3-string instrument, traditional instrument. So yeah, and he would traditional melodies, Japanese melody, like old stuff, and in a rock way, and like a lot of stuff, even some pretty cheesy. Like he would take some classical pieces, and that I'm less of a fan of. But yeah, he did a lot of things, and he just passed away.
Yeah.
Last year.
No, this year.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thanks for sharing that. Like I'd never heard his music before. I started reading more about your influences, and it's like really intense. It's got a really great, amazing energy. You could see the rockabilly and then the other influences. So definitely check that out. For folks who are listening and are super intrigued now, have any of you been in other cover bands before in your life, out of curiosity?
Yeah.
I feel like we've all have a cover band somewhere in our history if you play music, kind of thing.
I don't know if I want to talk about it though.
Yeah.
Totally fair. Okay, so like you were talking about how your sound has evolved from the tribute band days, and like I could hear things like Os Mutantes in there and other kind of like, and like a heavier influence. Is there anything else? Like how has the sound changed? Like how's it come together on Shirushi, on your most recent album?
Yeah, Os Mutantes is a good reference because it was a big reference for us in the studio while recording. I guess for the energy and for what we really like about Os Mutantes is, well, the early stuff anyways, it's just the freedom that you hear in their music. Like they really just, they do whatever they want. They don't, you know, they just go for it. And that's the main appeal, I think, for me from Os Mutantes. And for their arrangements also, and also, you know, like how they mix and tan stuff. You know,
Yeah.
what else? The influence is, you know, being a 7-piece band, you get like a lot in the mix, you know, from everybody, which is really, really cool. For Shirushi, uh,
I mean, there was a, sorry, did, yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like it was this transition, kind of unnoticeable transition to go from playing all of the original of the Takeshi music to all of a sudden introduce our own. But I think we were already working with the context,
yeah,
because we worked pretty hard on putting even the cover show together to the point where I feel like it was pretty I think there, you know, there was I feel like we've given ourselves all the freedom, but within this kind of world, you know.
mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of the ideas that started to come in, we just kind of, we made sure that it lived in that kind of world, you know.
Yeah,
I think, you know, and but now I feel like we were taking it a little bit even further, you know.
yeah, because also because we get to know each other more, and then there's, you know, we're opening up even more in terms of possibilities and everything. Actually, to quote our good friend Ian McPherson from the Go-Go Radio Magic Show, he said something that was really cool. That was very accurate, I think, because we recorded that EP, Jikaku, 2018,
Yeah.
and so he said basically it was like the EP was kind of like a black and white documentary, you know, where there are 2 covers on there and 2 originals, our first original composition. And then with Shirishi, we went all Technicolor and more like fiction film. That's what he said,
Mm.
and I thought it was a really nice way to put it. And so yeah, she was like, okay, this is us now, and everything about it, even like choosing you know, the studio and who we were gonna work with. Yeah,
Yeah.
and there.
You folks are working with some really cool people. And I wanted to mention that Shirushi came out in May, and it came out on the 30-year-old legendary punk label Kill Rock Stars, which has released many incredible artists over the years, including the first records for Elliott Smith, Bikini Kill, and Sleater Kinney. Could you tell us how you got involved with the label?
Yes. So
Anybody can take the question.
yeah, the story is, and this is all happening. Well, first, I think it was summer 2019. We played in Vancouver, and we stayed at our friend's. There's a band called in Vancouver who are also label mates. They're on TRS, but at the time, I remember Kim, the main person behind Mittens. She showed me a text. She was like, "Hey, I'm sending this music. I sent this music to KRS. I'm talking about Mittens music, and look what he's." So she was telling me she was going to sign with KRS, and it happened, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool. And to be honest, it's weird. Because I grew up listening to a lot of those Killer Rock Stars bands, but I kind of forgot about the label. Like maybe it didn't exist anymore, or so she brought it back in my head. But also then Slim, who's the founder of the label, asked Kim if she knew of any new exciting artists, stuff that she liked. She told them about us. So that's how we were introduced to the KRS. And then I believe I got an email from Slim, sent him the music because the music was all ready and mastered. And now I'm talking like beginning of COVID, basically, the pandemic. So of course, we didn't have many dates or tours and canceled, but we were kind of like hoping we could take shows and have some, labels or promoters come in, and that's where we were at the time. So, and we were discussing with a few labels, but then when Slim sent me that email and processed all that, I was like, oh shit, it kind of makes sense. Because KRS is really, it's not a huge label. They're really kind of like, they're really DIY and punk, and I felt like we shared a lot of similar values, and so it just it kind of connected right. He was really excited about the album, and we were super excited about being with that team, that family. And so that's how it happened. It took a few months, and then we all went for it, and we had a release date with them.
That's very cool. So what are your favorite songs on the album? Like individual, either your favorite, that's like the way they turned out, or like or that you like to play.
Oh.
Everybody can have different answers.
Yeah.
For me, Minke represent really this band. Everything is there, I feel.
Yeah, me too.
But, I guess if I had to pick only one, I would probably go for Make You too, because like Maya said, a lot of the TEKE elements or ingredients, I feel they're all in there.
And the TEKE energy of from the beginning is here also, I think.
Yeah.
The Make You, Mishka.
You're muted.
You are muted.
Nice, classic. I think I was just gonna, I go through phases, I think I enjoy them all at
Yeah, but you're not allowed to say that. You can't say
I'm
that.
not allowed to say that. I can say
one.
I can say which one I'm really digging nowadays.
Yeah.
And I think it's because now that we've transitioned to like play shirushi and have less of that Takeshi occur, I feel like whenever you record something, there is a period of time where you don't really like what happens in the studio and what happens later on the stage, or whenever you play the music. I feel like it takes a while to really get to the really good stuff of really living the music as opposed to performing it, and you can't have it happen. I've never, with my however many 20 years of experience in playing music, it's the same every time. It takes a little bit of it just takes time to get to know the music before you can really live it. So anyways, I think yeah.
We were already playing a lot of those songs. Like we did a lot of work in pre-production and everything, but it changed, and it kept changing until the very last minute in the studio. And I feel like like you're saying, like now that we're playing them, feeling them, they're still kind of like evolving. And I'm kind of wondering, maybe it's a never-ending thing. Like maybe it's a living thing, and it should be that way. And yeah, as you were saying that, Michelle,
I was just gonna say that Kala Kala is probably my the one for some I feel like it does make you. I have a similar thing where it all of our influences are, I can appreciate everybody's input on it, you know, everybody's sort of what I love about everybody on that recording, or in just as about them as musicians, you know. It has this really beautiful intro that's I mean, nothing that you play is ever the same, but I feel like that intro to the song really lends itself to interpretation every time, you know.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting what you're saying about how a song has its like changes its life. It changes the way it feels over the years, you know, in the history of humans making music, you know, the idea of recording it, having one version of it is such a young idea. And, you know, and we at the festival, of course, are really excited about live performances of music for reasons like this. Like every performance is unique unto itself, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Sorry, to add to that, I was going to add a little bit to that. I think it's because I was thinking about this. I never thought about this before. But I think when you're preparing for the recording, you go so far in the details and everything that you don't necessarily see the big picture anymore as much as you probably want to and mean to. So once that process is done and you just play it later on tour, so you're playing it every night or every other night, then you get to finally take a step back and just enjoy it for what it became, you know.
Totally.
I think that's
this is giving me an idea. How about
here we go, new project.
How about this record is the same? We're using songs, but we play them the way we play them now. So we'll just keep releasing records that are the same songs, but you know, played differently because they're evolving throughout the years now. Okay.
Yeah.
But, I think technically they don't actually change. It's just how you hear it.
I feel like that's some Grateful Dead action happening there, kind of, you know. Cool. Yeah, thanks. Sorry for making you choose just one, but it was fun to hear your answers. You made a cool lyric video for a song on the album called Barbara that includes Japanese and English title cards and illustrations. I think did you do those drawings? Yeah, they're super cool. Could you tell us about that song? I understand that there's a couple of different stories coming into that. Hide, and I think Hide, you have like a story there, hey?
Yeah. It's the idea started with my true story. I was going out from a metro station, and I met an old man with long white hair on the street, and he was looking at me very intensively, and he asked me if I was Barbara. So I was looking the other side to see if there were another woman, if there were a woman behind me, but I was alone. And he was asking me, "Are you Barbara? Barbara?" And I said, "No, I'm not Barbara." And he was screaming very far away. He was screaming to me, "Barbara!" If it was as if it was. He was meeting again for a long time someone who didn't meet. So that was the story of the beginning. And after Maya, you can.
I took that story. I mixed with the Japanese traditional spirit legend. Zashiki Warashi is one character, the small girl who live in a house, and sometimes she appear and they disappear, and like she can do the movie
Pranks. Yeah.
And to make people surprised or a little bit scary, but nothing so serious. But when she's there at that house, this house can have a fortune or something like that. And so I made Barbara, I made Zashkiwarashi, new Zashkiwarashi, who she's not living in the house anymore. She can travel everywhere, and she can do the movies, what is movies? Pranks anywhere, and her name is even her name is Barbara.
It's like a super extreme version of a Zeshki Wadashi, where she escapes the house she's in. She goes all over the world and does crazy things. So
That's just as psychedelic of a story as the art, you know. I love that. So maybe talking about the art for a second, your universe of TEKE is like hyper visual, lots of art and music videos, costuming. Can you describe what that looks like for our listeners? Like there's just for people who can't see right now, what does it look like, the TEKE world?
oh my God.
What does it look like?
Tough to-
Visually, I feel it's always something dark, but there is like a hope mixed up, some kind of surrealism.
I always picture like a craziest ice cream shop, but then all the flavors are strange. All the flavors are kind of a little bit on the dark side, and stuff that you would definitely try, but there's a little bit of risk involved.
That's true.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's like always a dream. We as if we were in a dream, and so sometimes things is not happening in the way we think, and usually, and it is very psychedelic and surrealistic. Yeah, and a lot of colors. Yeah, as said Mishka for the ice cream shop.
Yeah, and it's very close to the words that Maya writes in the songs,
Yeah.
in the lyrics. So the lyrics are also really like kind of crazy, but also it's like it's an exploration that goes even in the darker sides of things, but it's like what you say a lot, like if you want to see the hopeful, beautiful things, then you have to dare go into more, you know, the darker side of things, and we like to explore all of that in the lyrics, but also in the artwork.
And also because the TEKE song is very cinematic. So I want to bring like a story with the fantasy, and to make that each song's universe.
Yeah, a different story for each song. And also live, she's Maya is kind of like in every song like a different character. So all of that is, you know, interesting.
Yeah, Maya, could you tell us more about that? So Maya is a multidisciplinary artist with theater training and a performance art practice. So can you tell us a bit more about what you bring with that to TEKE?
Yeah, because my part is but I'm not educated musician, and six great musicians are there. My part is really to bring some visually and the theatrically, they bring the story in that, to connect with the story and create that the
Connections yeah,
the universe. Yeah, that's that. So each song I try to make a really different story with a different character, and the text is really like who is saying, and it can really changing.
Yeah, and it comes from more of a 'cause
Improvisation.
improvisation and theater and all that. So that's kind of like the background behind all of that, rather than like music theory or whatever. So yeah.
That's awesome. And Serge, I understand that you also score music for film. So like that cinematic quality once again returns there. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess for me, music was always really visual, and I've been in other projects where it was a lot of times instrumental, and yeah, I guess I mean, I don't want to sound pretentious, but it's kind of like natural for me. It's where it comes from. It's from again, not so much music theory, but more like my music is more influenced by like films or art or little things, and yeah.
Maybe I've got a question for you, Mishka. So you're a longtime performer in bands, like you were mentioning, 20 years, like you play with Patrick Watson and also in Fang. I was wondering, maybe just to like, we're here in Regina, we've got a very excellent and vibrant music community. I was wondering if you could describe what it's like being a part of the Montreal music community and how it brought you into TEKE.
So the question is,
what's a Montreal music community like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty small. I feel like, so Serge mentioned our rehearsal space, and so this locales where musicians rent to rehearse, practice, whatever they got to do. I feel like there's probably more than I feel like I've been in 3 over my whole career in Montreal, and all of these spots. This is where I kind of like, this is why the TEKE thing happened. We happened to be there, and I remember Serge coming up to me and asking me if I wanted to be part of this tribute project, and part of me was like, throughout my life I've gotten the people think that I look a little bit Japanese sometimes. So I was like, is that why you're asking me? First of all, but anyways, as far as the scene goes, I like you said, I spent 20 years playing in the Patrick Watson band, and when this, I think we were between records and with Patrick, and I just had time to even entertain the idea of like, oh yeah, why not? Why would I say no now? Like, I have all the time in the world, and I was really curious about this. I've never heard of Takeshi myself, so when you started showing me the music, I right away I was like, well, I love this world. I kind of know this world. Like when I think of Takeshi, I was definitely thinking West Coast. Like, to me, it just kind of represented what I loved about surf music and guitar rock and all of this. But yeah, just to say, Montreal is it's a pretty small community. Like I feel like if anybody's, I'm pretty aware of most things that are happening, and I spend a lot of time at my rehearsal spot, and pretty much every day I'll see somebody who's out there doing their thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing Saskatchewan must be even smaller.
It is, and a lot of people in different bands and all these sorts of things, like a lot of people playing in multiple bands,
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to know what's up. I'm still very curious, even if I've been doing this for that long. I feel like I'd want to know if there's what's like, is there somebody that's doing something new that I haven't thought of, or exploring something that I think is definitely worth checking out and doing something different. Yeah.
And Hide, I understand that you're also a teacher. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
How does that influence your music, or does it?
As a teacher,
Or
or
vice versa? Do they speak to each other, your teaching and your music at all?
oh, not so much. I don't teach. I don't talk about music in my teaching. Like I'm a Japanese teacher. Yeah, but as I am also an interpreter, so I had the chance to do a lot of projects with people who influenced something musically, like some noise music. I did some. I was interpreter for someone who made a piece of theater, of a play about noise, Japanese noise music, and we had to do a lot of research, for example, and that kind of thing had a lot of influence on me. I discovered a lot of things, and it changed me the way to see music, because before I was doing a different kind of music. So yeah.
That's cool. Well, we're coming close to the end of the hour here. So, but I want to make sure that I ask you about the new music that you're all working on. I understand because you recorded Shirushi in 2019. That was like pre-pandemic times. That was a long time ago now, and you probably had to wait to tour, and now finally you're touring. So, what is it like making a new album? What is it like? What does it sound like right now? And is it influenced by the pandemic? I'm sorry, I put 3 questions in there.
We're just starting to come up with the new ideas and stuff. A lot of it is in my head right now, and in Mishka's head, and we still haven't gotten together to really talk about it. We've been having some discussions here and there, and the touring is going to help a lot. I think having these conversations about the new material. But on my end, I have there's a lot of things I wanna try and do. I don't know if any of it is influenced by the pandemic. It's just what it is. I think everybody had different. Everybody lived the pandemic a different way. I don't want to talk about it too much because I feel I was extremely lucky, and so it's it was all very positive stuff. So yeah, I don't make any connections between the pandemic and the new music. It's for me, it's kind of like as if it didn't happen. For the music, it's just I'm just glad we can make more of it, and especially. Well, I'm excited about taking Shirishi on the road, and bring it to people. So doing that, then we'll probably like some new stuff and talk about it and have these. I think a lot of the music, the new music, the work is being done when like in places like in a van, or like when we're having, because we don't see when we see each other like we try to see each other once a week to get together, practice, try some new stuff. Right now it's more about the tours that are coming up, but when we're together, then we can have those discussions. I think a lot of it happened there first, and then when someone starts pitching in ideas, then it builds up and it gets somewhere. But we're just at the very beginning of all that. But in my head, it's really exciting. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be another big step, I think, for us, just in terms of ideas and just the music. Yeah.
I like the idea of tours like an incubator, there's all those times when you're waiting around, you're listening to music or whatever, and then you're just hanging out with your band. And yeah, no, it's That's really cool. And that's how you, and also tours where you found Takeshi as well, right? So that's yeah. Well, we look forward to the multiple versions of Shirushi that you've promised us in the future, of course. But excited to hear what you make, coming up as well. But even more excited to hear you here in Treaty 4 on January 27th at the Artesian, playing with Snake River. What might we expect at the show? I think. Is there anything that you want to tell us about the show before people come on out?
Oh my God. Oh,
Because we didn't play so long, so it will be really.
yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of energy. We're just really excited. We've never really been on a long tour like that. Not in a long time anyways, but as TEKE too, it's the first. So
I'm expecting a mosh pit. It's funny because I've never thought of TEKE as the kind of band that you would have that sort of phenomenon happen. But and maybe it's very COVID induced, because one of the first shows that we played when we were allowed to play, there was just so much energy, I think, from us just being happy to do it in front of people and not just in a locale or whatever, that it happened. There was a huge mosh pit, and I think it was just I think people were just wanted to let that stuff come out, so yeah. I would expect that now I'm like, oh, okay, that can happen with us. Cool. Just nobody get hurt. I don't want you to get hurt.
I think that energy, that might be a post-pandemic thing. So yeah, people are just really, really excited. We're very for all that energy, and it's so exciting that every show is really important and means a lot to us. Totally.
I think you're gonna have amazing shows. Your music is great. Our audience here is super excited to see you and like to get out there and check out some new music. And we're at the end of our hour now, so I just want to say some thank yous. First of all, thank you so much to all of you for your thoughtful answers and for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I also want to give a few other thanks as well. Thank you to Hannah, who's been coordinating this seminar from behind the scenes. A reminder, I want to remind everybody that TEKE's Winterruption show and all Winterruption shows are on sale now over at reginafolkfestival.com. TEKE is playing at the Artesian on Thursday, January 27th, along with Snake River. And the show is an early-ish one, so for those who have to wake up early the next day. I want to thank our funders, Canadian Heritage, SK Arts, City of Regina, SAS Culture, SAS Lotteries, Tourism Saskatchewan, and the Arts Best Business for the Arts. TEKE are also playing at other prairie cities that have Winterruptions going on, as well as in Winnipeg on the 26th, Saskatoon on the 28th, and Calgary on the 29th. So do go on out, and wherever you're listening from or watching this video, just want to say you should come out and see this incredible band. We're looking forward to seeing you soon, and thank you so much.
Thanks, Amber.
Thank you. See you.
For sure. Have a nice day. Take care.
You too. Thank you.